Hi everybody, I'm back. Here's the girl version from the Little Prince, Little Princess jewel collection. So I've already done a little video on this one. That's the boy half. Previous video we uploaded with all the notes and cutting guides, etc. That was the previous one. And now we're going to have a matching little girl one. So again, it's from the same bulk pack that we used for the boy one. So to make this, you'll need the remainder of the bulk pack. Don't go buy a second one. It's the boy version. We've used the boy paper. Now we're going to be using the girl paper. And you'll need another mini album. Again, if you haven't made up your mini album already, I suggest you pause here and go and check out our YouTube link to how to make the mini album. Super easy. It is a mini album MA7003, 7.5 inch by 5 inch. Very easy to put together. As I mentioned in my previous video, these little albums normally are used this way. Nice landscape, but I wanted to use a portrait. So once you get your album together, we can start assembling. There is a cutting guide with a description of this video. So the cutting guide is linked to that. We have pre-cut and waiting to go. So first up, we're going to be looking for a whole lot of pieces in your pile labeled B. Okay. So you've got a pile from the cutting guide, a whole lot of stuff labeled B. Okay, so not that one. Okay, we'll need B7. We will need this B5. There we go, those two. We will be needing that one. Okay, so those are all from the B pile. So I'll run through those numbers with you now. So we need B7, it's the big one. It's 5 by 7.25. B10, 5 by 1. B9, 5 by 1. B8, 5 by 2. B2, 1.5 by 1.5. Don't think that's actually right. Let me just double check that quickly, make sure I've got another one. So that is the right one. Okay, we're using the strap size on all of these. And then you need to move across to your E pile, your plain colors, plain cards. And then you'll have one that's labeled E3. E3. Right. So those are all what we're going to be working at the moment. We are going to be using the striped sides of this. And we're going to obviously be using the brown side. See, it's actually a piece from the boys' collection that we had left over. But we're using this brown side because it also goes well. So while we're at it, we may as well put tape on all the pieces. If you want to sand your pieces, you're welcome to pause the video now and go through and sand all the pieces that you've cut. For speed purposes, I am not going to. I'm just going to tape away. Just rubbing up my little notes quickly. Yeah. So you can put B2 aside. B7 is still using the straps. Three, we're using the brown side. First up, we're going to be taking our skinny pieces, putting them on our cover. The position towards the bottom, nice even white edging, and place down. And we're going to do the same with the other small one. And then we take our red one. It's nice and even, filling in the gap. Yeah. Then we're taking the larger piece, not the big piece. So we've got two pieces left. Well, there's got extra 3 pieces left. We don't need this yet. Sorry, that was my mistake. So we're taking the larger of the 2 smaller pieces. And that's going to be going on the spine. And a nice even border around. And then the final piece, the big piece, is for the back of it. You can put this other strap one back into your B pile. And we place it nice and centered. And there is our cover, spine, and back. Basic done. With page by page, so let's open up. Okay, this time we're going to go into our C pile. So it's got dots and it's got balloons. And we are going to look for C8 and 9. No, not C8 and 9. Incorrect. C5 and C2. There are quite a few pieces that are exactly the same. So for confusion's sake, it's actually C5 and C6. C5 and C6. Then you're going to move back to your B pile. and there should be a B11. This time we're using the pretty side, B11. Just those 3 pieces. So again, we're using C6 on the dots, B5 on the dots, B11 pattern side. Put them all over, tape on all of them. Two collections in one idea is quite handy. One pack and you get completely different projects. Enjoy it. And the colors, some of the colors can blend together. Like you see, I'm using the brown that was actually part of the boys collection with the girls collection. One of the inks I used was going through across both the pumpkin spice. Why not mix it up sometimes? So we're going to first start off with the smaller pieces. Start at the bottom just before the fold line, evenly spaced, down. Top, evenly spaced again, and down. And make sure your pictures are the right way up. Does overlap your dots. There we go. Inside cover, done. Now we'll move on to what I like to call page 1. Each side of the page is a different number to avoid confusion. So we're moving on to this page with just a simple little flap, the quote. Again, you'll need to go into your B pile. It's a nice big piece in your B pile called B1. Throw these ones away, both. B1 is 6 by 6 3/4, and then scored at 1.5. And these are obviously in inches. So when it's folded, it's done like that. So B1, we're going to turn over and put the tape on the large stripy section. Very quick and easy page to get through. Nicely. And then you'll need to look through your quote pile. Here. Okay, no, I haven't put that on. Okay, this little extra bit here, I'll cut later. Here we go. Let's follow your heart, just from the quote sheets. So just trim that off and we'll stick it on the floral side, that way. Gives us a nice space. Put some embellishments on pink paper. So remember the score line, and you can't go over the score line. Just a nice little. There you go. Over. And we are going back to the B file. So let's see how we're getting it B. So we are needing B5 and B6. B5 and B6, they should have scores on them. So they're 5 inches by 1.5, and then they scored at 1. Okay. Scored in the wrong spot. So one needs to be scored from the top, one needs to be scored from the bottom. At 1/2 inch mark. Score there and a score over there. This is going to help form a pocket. I wasn't scored from the wrong side. I was looking at the wrong side. Okay, so there we go. We have our little pieces. We're going to some tape in place. It's going to be a nice big pocket. So on the scored section on the stripy side. The small scored section on the stripy side. On both. So these are going to go top and bottom. And then we're needing to go into our pile A. A1. A1. Pile A. A1. For some reason, these are a little bit on the long side. I'm just going to trim these down. These should be 4.5. And they're sitting at 5 at the moment. So both of them need to be trimmed down to be 4.5. So we're going to stick these in place. Now they are 4.5 wide. Okay, the top fold is folding upwards. All right, just see what we're doing. That. So it's folding upwards. Okay. The bottom one needs to be folding downwards. So put it in place. And downwards. And we're going to take tape to form the pocket. The pocket's going to be on opened up on the right hand side. So just taping this side. Put this down. And then on A1, we are going to put tape along the top, left. We don't even have to do the left this way. Top and bottom. There is tape along here already. I'm just going to be double sure though. Top. Doesn't matter which side you use, whichever side you like the most. Have that side visible. So I quite like one without the balloons. Balloons look, that's off, obviously. And there. Okay, so we put tape along the top, the left-hand side, and the bottom. So the pocket will open from the right-hand side. Okay. Joining the gaps. Straight. Oh, sticky and sticky. Straight as possible. Oh my goodness. He does it, eh? He does it. So here we go. There. Straight just on one side, and then the other side should work out. There we go. There we go. There. And there is your pocket. In the pocket, you put, girl, you've got this. It's part of your quotes. You can see that this is a pocket. And obviously you can put a photo on the back. I'll just give you an idea. Next page. Nice, easy one again. This time we're going into pile A. You should have 2 that have been scored. Very similar, not exactly the same. Yeah, so I'm going to be using A2. A2. Right. So A2 is 12 inches by 6 3/4, and it's been scored 4.5, and then again at 9. So ultimately, we are wanting to be stuck on the middle section, that and that, like that. So you have your open, close a small flap, close the bigger flap. So the central part at the back is what we're going to glue. This is A2. Just like it is in that album. So central as possible. And A2 is in place. Moving on to the next page. Okay, we're going to leave these pages for last. They became complicated when I did the boys one, so I'd rather just leave until the end. And we're going to move on to this one. So we're going to go back to our dotty sheets, which is pile C. And we are needing C7. And we are needing a quote. Try to get the right one. That was trimmed down. Quote that was trimmed down. Enjoy the little things. It cuts a little bit of the bunny. So C7 and the quote. And the best papers, as you can see. So the C7 is the 4.5 inch by 7.5, scored at 3/4. So we're needing to put tape on the large balloon side, not on the score, just on the large balloon section. Center up at the bottom. This is still going to fold. Okay. And then we're going to put our tape on the balloon section. And stick our little quotes in place. There we go. Here's a little flap, just like that. We will come back to this page. Next page. We're going back into the B pile. Not much left in the B pile. Should be more than what I have in the B pile, but let's see what's going on. Okay, so the B pile was the one that we prepped earlier. And I now don't have my ruler with me. So let's just double check that. Okay, we need to cut an additional one, the same size as that blue one that we had before. Just going to do a little hack. This one, so it was 4.5 by 1.5. With the straps, 1.5. With the straps, 4.5. Against the straps. Improvise as we go. Okay, so the one we prepped earlier and the new one. Just gonna get those done here before we do anything else. Right. So we have two exactly the same. Tape on the pattern side, exactly the same. Then we need to go into our balloon pile. The balloon pile is a dotty pile as well, so it's pile C. And we need to find a 5.5. So C9. C9, it's 1.5 by 5.5. Using the balloon side. So I'm just going to swap it around so you can see that one. And then we're going to move on to our wood pile, which is pile D. And we are going to use D, oh, not that D, D5. Yeah. All of those there. So we have the two pre-cut ones, this one and this one. The pre-cut just so I didn't have to measure for the second half of this page. But at the moment, we are going to be using the one done C9 and D5. First of all, we're going to stick down C9. We're using the balloon side. So we're going to flip it over. And we're going to line it up with the bottom of the page, going up the side of the left-hand side. So it will come off. Remember, the balloon is facing the right way up. Look for the strings at the bottom of the balloons. Lining up at the bottom. A little bit of a water. Paste that down. Then we move on to D5. D5, we're using the wood. We're going to flip it over. Paste this down. believe Dennis put wood grain on the back of a plastic cut sheet. How could you? Anyway, can't do everything, I suppose. And we do get 2 sheets, so it's okay. So there is the wood grain. I quite like this little messy section, so I'm going to keep that. Line up at the bottom, does overlap slightly. And then we're going to stick it down. Then the pink strip we pre-did is going on top there. And that does overlap ever so slightly, line it up nicely. And there you have it. Right. That is that page. So for the next page, we need it back to the wood grain. We're needing D6, going back to the balloons, which is C5. So we have, C8, and we have B6, and we have our pre-done pink strip. Same as last time, balloons were going down first, but this time we're going to line it up with the top. So it's a continuation from the above sheet, above page. So let's just tape everything. That's why we do need to be aware that the wood grain forms pockets. I'll explain that as we go. So that is your balloon one taped. Wood grain one, it's a pocket from the left-hand side. So we need to put tape top, right, and bottom. I'm going to use a thin tape to keep the pocket as big as possible. I get confused, I just first do the top and the bottom, then I don't have to worry. They have to be done anyway. And then I get more concerned about which side I want it open. So I actually want it open that side. A little bit of a messy part on there. So I'm going to put tape on this side. Finger there. And just tape those 3 sides. So first goes down the balloons. Line it up with the previous balloons, still leaving a little white gap at the sides. Okay. Then we're going to do the wood grain. Remember, your pocket's going to be opening up from the left-hand side. Yeah. At the top of that, so flush. And paste it down. And then your pre-done pink piece. But overlap ever so slightly again. Like that. So now we have that little pocket. These were just off-cut pieces. I'll see if I can find some quickly. Size. See what they look like. Right. So just so you remember, there's a pocket going there. As I said, there's just offcuts that I've used to fill in those little pockets. But just a reminder that you have a pocket there. Right, next page. Moving back to the wood grain. I'm needing D1. Then we're needing your plain sheets. E4. There's going to be a slight variant from previous one. And then we are going to need E1. So those 3 sheets. So it will look slightly different to mine. But to be honest, I think it's actually going to look nicer than that. So I'm just going to keep a label at D1, E4, and E1. Now ultimately, D1 is going to get stuck down completely. So I'm just going to put tape on that. Nice, straightforward and simple. And then we're going to do a little something different. Similar to the previous one, but we're going to do it so that we have the red on the outside and the gray on the inside instead of the brown like that. So what I'm going to do before we even get going is I'm going to take my 1.5 inch punch and use the triangles on the side to see where the halfway mark is. Let's see on your punch, you do a half a circle punch. And there we go, done. Turn this into a pocket. Outside, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Silly me. No, that's right. I'm mad. Doubting myself again. So we can do it that way. Stick on the brown. Make sure your circle punch is at the bottom. So you flip it over, it's going to be at the top. So look at that side. Line it up with the score line. There's a little bit of a overlap. We're just going to trim that off. And because the color behind there is pretty already, we don't need to do anything to fix that up. All we need now is to attach this. So just move your 1 strip of tape for now. Position it fairly central, like that. We will need to put a bit more tape again over that score so it sticks nicely to the album. Then close it up. Position it nicely. And there you have it. So there it is, slightly different. I prefer yours again. So there's insert. Okay, I'm just going to find an off-cut piece we can insert there so you're reminded that there is a little pocket. Let's see. Balloon inserts. I'm just going to trim them down. Have a little balloon insert. There we go. Next up, we're going to be looking for our balloon pieces of paper, which is also the dot paper. Nice big piece, C1. C1, you're looking for C1. C1's a nice big piece. This was 9 by 6 3/4. Scored at 1.5, and then again at 6. So we fold 1.5 at 6. Should close up. It does. Fantastic. Okay, we are going to be using it this way. So we need to put tape on the balloons. Please make sure again your balloons are facing upright. Look for the strings coming down from the balloons. And we are going to be using or putting tape on the balloons and using both sides. So it opens up like a book. Right, so we're still working with C1. Make sure your balloons are facing the right way. So that's stick it in. Right. And over, double check your balloons. And put it in place. And I've just used a quote to close it off. Quote, see if I can grab it quickly. And just put that in all the way. So it's girls rule the world. The other fussy cutting bits and pieces, we can do that in your own time. You can make it your own. So much to forget about these extra little bits. So to me, I wanted to make it fairly even in the middle here. So I used there, so put it here. And see how I want to go. If you're not sure of yourself, you do something like this, you're like, I don't know how far the tape should go. Just take a little pencil, lift your pencil, and just do like a little scribble behind. You can't even see what you're doing, but just do a scribble behind. And then you know your tape needs to go to that scribble. And your little hack, I go just beyond the scribble so I don't have to rub it out. Let it get hidden away. Sometimes it's the basic of things that really help. Let's just get by. Make sure your quote's the right way up. Make sure you don't stick your folder closed. I'm going to actually stick it on while it's open. So I've opened my flap. I can see my tapers. Looks pretty straight to me. Put it down. And then we close it there. These little arrows are just holding it closed. It looks at the holders as well. That was C1, stuck down and in. Okay, now we move on to our next page, which is a bit of an interesting one. You have to look in your quote page. You have this quote enjoy the little things. She leaves a little sparkle wherever she goes. Very depressing, I know. But what we're going to do is we're going to trim it down. We're going to keep these joined and we're going to trim it down. So they need to be 4.5 by 6 3/4. So 4.5 wide by 6 3/4 down. First do the 4.5 by the 6 3/4. Now, I really like the brown, so I'm going to go brown. We do use the quotes on the second page, so don't feel like you're missing out on them. Okay, so we've got that. Then we need a piece of our colored paper. I don't know if I've done it yet. In your stash. So again, this was an afterthought. In your stash is a piece of grey board that's left. Currently, it'd be around 6 inches, which is perfect. We're going to score it just once at 1/2 inch. Just once. And I'm doing a little cheat hack. Turn this over. Creating a belly band. And I'm just going to follow it. If you're doing a project, I would recommend you don't throw away any little, obviously tiny flying offcuts, but little pieces like this. Because when you start assembling, you're like, oh, I can actually add that and make it a belly band instead of just a flat photo matting. And well, obviously when you're done with your project and if you're not a hoarder, then you can get rid of whatever you didn't use. But I would recommend waiting until the very end of your project. Now the point of this belly band is I want to cover this join. I didn't really like the way it looked. So I've got my score line there. I'm going to go just under. So it covers it. Just gently tap down. Okay. Then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to false fold to make sure it's a nice, comfortable belly band. False fold it over instead of scoring. And then get your scoring tool and just neaten it up. And you've got your belly band. So put a piece of tape over both of those little sections, so it'll stick nicely in the book. Not vital, but it's going to make the album in metal. Make it properly. And it goes. Your little princess gets stuck on there. And then again, your inserts are just left over pieces of paper. And suitable. Leave it for now, but there is a belly band. Just gonna, we'll get there. Not a problem. There's wood here somewhere, so I think it's actually would be this one. Okay, so I'm thinking it's D4, but I'm gonna leave it for now just in case it's not. That page. When we get to it, I just used a few bits and pieces to decorate. Next up is our balloon paper yet again. So balloon paper and dots. So we are needing C 10. And we are needing, where's that little quote gone? Okay. C10, and when you approach, she leaves a little sparkle. C10 should have been scored at 3/4. Do that. Ultimately, we're wanting the page to be 6 3/4. So from the bottom will be 6 3/4. So we're just going to do 3/4. Yeah, 3/4. Yeah. This time we want to use the balloons. Have the balloons showing. So easy peasy. So that we're busy working with C10 at the moment. Tape on the dot side. And this has already been trimmed down. It's been trimmed down to 4.5 wide. Yeah. One and a half wide. Check if there's anything you want to trim off. So it's a little bit of white here that I want to trim off. Yeah. And you can use your craft mat if you want. Cutting mat. Use the lines there to make it straight. There we go. And we put him in place. Or should I say? The girl Alden. Remember the even spacing. And there you go. Next one. Yeah, we'll do with the next one. It's going to be left to be done with the other card that we've left for now, just to avoid confusion. So we're going to move on to this cute little one, which again should be in your C pile, but I don't see my C pile. Right, we will get back to that one as well. So we leave these 2 pages. The cover for it, but I don't see the actual C pile. Sort that out now. Okay, so turn over. So I've left these 2 blank. Turning over. We need to get B3 and B4, actually score lines on them, B3 and B4. One scored at the top, one scored at the bottom. And we are going to put tape on the score, on the pretty gooly side. Gooly side. And then we need to get piece A4. It's going to be going there, A4. Now it might be easy to line it up, so like we've been doing it. Yes, this is the bottom. Make sure your pictures are facing the right way. There we go. Stop. And even a nice gap. Go. Okay. And if you look carefully on your card, you'll see there's little stars. So the stars need to be obviously facing the right way. I'm going to put tape down. Please ignore these tape lines. These were mistakes that had to be corrected. There. There. Then I'm going to do a narrow tape just along here. And the pockets opening up from the right hand side. Just there. So you've already got tape here. I just put tape at the top and the bottom. Use the tape as our guide. Overlap slightly. There we go. There's your pocket. So this pocket, I just put in again from the offcuts. We just find a little offcut to remind us. This, so we know we have a little pocket there. Then the next page, nice simple one again, big piece, just A5. This time with A5, we're wanting to have the little girl with brown hair on the front, as opposed to the blonde girls. They both have a turn to be in the limelight. Open the page up again. The little flapper goes in. Beautiful blonde girl goes in. Brunettes on the top. We are going to tape over the back. So glad the camera only goes so far because the amount of mess here is a bit ridiculous. So facing the right way around. All folds and closed up. And take it down. That's the same as this one. And over. To the page. we are now needing our wood grain, which is D3. D3. We're needing a little strip of dots, which is C4. And we're needing A3. A3. So those are the pieces we need using this time out. So let's start with the basic part of it. Let's take your dotty sheet, and that's just going to get stuck straight down. Nothing fancy. Dots exposed. Okay. And then remember, we're going to add this joiny piece attached to the back of the wood. So we have our little score, the tape on the score. The line of the wood being there. So tape to that. There we go. And like that. Put tape on the back of it. I haven't forgotten about those pages. I need to go back and sort out. So this one, make sure when you open it up, it opens outwards. Line up with your dotty paper. Nice little edge there. And paste down. And ta-da! Then I use this little tag just to hold them in place. Next up, you'll need C2 and 3. For some reason, no, I'm missing a piece of paper. Okay, so from the scraps, you had a big piece like this. Don't know why it wasn't marked. Should have been marked. It needs to be cut down to 5 inches. Move these out the way. So just keep C2 and C3 aside. C3. And then we've got this cute little offcut piece that we need to have cut down at 5. Now it's on the edge. So you'll have the pretty little girl showing at 5. That's 5. Let's just trim down to be 5 by 5. Yep. 5 by 5. So we're using C2, C3, and then a cute little piece that was from the offcuts. Putting tape on the stripy side, on the balloon side, and on the balloon side. start by sticking down the stripy piece, the dotty pieces first. Doesn't matter which one you use first. There it is. First dots. And dots. Sure your picture's the right way up. Pretty little girl. There we go. All right, so now we're going to work out those pages that we're missing. Page is these two together. Where were they? Let's go from the beginning. There. So let's minus pockets. There we go. There is the one. All right. So we do have part of that. That is cut out 4 by 6. 4 by 6 is our matting. And then we have a whole lot of gray strips. Whole lots, like a whole lot. Okay, so there should be 2 that are 6 inches long and 2 that are shorter. Leave the skinny ones aside for now. But that's what you should have as this piece. Ultimately, we want our page to be 4.5 by 7.5. So we're going to need to, at this stage, is not. This stage is now 4, so we're needing to add 1/4 and 1/4. Just tiny, ridiculous little amount. 1/4 and 1/4, and then the top sections. But you see that can line it up nicely for us. So I'm actually going to do that. Trying to do a little bit of a cheat here. Just give me a minute. Right, so we need 4.5 by 6 3/4. So it's currently sitting at 6. It doesn't have to be perfectly even. So what I'm going to do, tape on the back here. Tape on the back here. I mean, we're adding just 1/4 of an inch, really not much at all. So the color is pretty much the same on both sides. So it doesn't matter which side you use, just make sure you use the same. So I'm having it sitting at 4, and I'm just going to add 1/4 to overlap the rest. We get, just make sure it's nice and straight. Straight me. We're going to do the same on the other side this time. And just stop at 4.5. Ruler. Have it sitting at 4.5 on that side. And then we're going to put it down to reach 0. And just make sure it's straight, which it isn't. 4.5 up, 4.5 at the bottom. trim down a little bit. Stays 4.5. Good way just to double check yourself. Give the trimmer and then it comes off when you know a little bit too big. Okay, so lines up top and bottom. Also want to just trim off a little bit at the bottom. There's a little bit of white showing. Right, there. So now when we stick it on, it should fit perfectly. This time we're needing now to get to 6 3/4. So again, we're going to put the tape on the back. Right. This is sitting at 6. So we're needing to add 3/4. So we are adding 5/8, I think it is. The easiest way to do it is to make it in the middle. That's half. Need it 3/4 as well. There. Doesn't have to be 100% even. Actually, let's do it that way. Let's not worry about being too even at this stage. I want to add 3/4. There's my ruler. It's around about the 3/4 mark. My grey board. Up against the ruler. Press that lightly in the corner so you can make sure it's square before you do all of it. It's about 3/4 that side as well. And then same on the bottom. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So now we want 6 3/4. There's a ruler. Pick the colors again. 6 3/4. We should be pretty close to it already. And put down. Check that is 6 3/4. So look very straight to me. There we go. It's better. It's roughly 6 3/4. I'm going to trim a little bit down from the top. Sure, 6 3/4. Oh, it's just 2 millimeters or so out. And I'm going to put the broader section at the bottom. Just helps when you're putting your little girly things in. And now we can just tape it in. A little bit complicated when you've got limited access to certain colors of paper. You make plans. So that can go into that. There you go. So we course up on that one. Those. There, here we go. So we've got a little bit interesting. We do have a quote. I do not know what's happened with cutting guides, but we will make a plan and we will make it work. That's what we do. It may even turn out nicer than the original. Why not? Why not? Okay, so ultimately we're wanting the page to be 6 3/4 high. So I've taken from my stash. Let's check the length. Even the length is off. Okay, so what I've done is take my stash. I'm going to join them to make it 6 3/4 without too much of an overhang. So I really like the florals. That's sitting at about 5. I'm going to trim it down to B5. 5. And now we're needing to add 1 3/4 and obviously some space for it to be stuck on with. So 1 3/4 plus a half is 2 1/4. So cut it at 2 1/4. 2 1/4, which is not far off from 2 1/4. So that leaves us with a little bit of overlap. Now we can get creative. Let's see what we did inside. Okay, so there's this, that goes inside. We're wanting dots as balloons with it, or dots. And balloons look pretty cool. Let's put the tape. Yep, you won't see it. Remember, the total height needs to be 6 3/4. So again, we'll use our ruler. 6 3/4. Like our balloons. Take it up to 0. It's 6. Oops. Move it a little bit. 6. You can use a line on the paper there just to make sure. Maybe the opposite side. 6 3/4. Ultimately, we're wanting the space page to be 6 inches. It's currently sitting at 7 on the stripy side, so we're going to cut it down to 6. All right, and then we're going to score it at 4 1/2. 4 1/2. Just turn it upside down, then score it 4 1/2. Upside down, score it 4 1/2. It's really quite on top of that. It works a charm. Well, words. Just going to tape along each. There. Again, my little pencil. I'll start my tape here and lift a little bit in my tape about there. Okay. There. There. Maybe your markings, you don't see them. Oh, no wonder why it's not sticking. Just centered. Remember your markings. There we go. There we go. So that now will be stuck there. There are plenty of little fussy cut items to hide anything that you might not like, where you make it your own. We're going to have to improvise for the next one as well. But let's see how we go. Yeah. The next one needed you've got this quote as the photo mat. Then we've got D2, which could work as the back. And then we are just needing the color blocks. Yeah, let's see this. That's okay. Let's see what we can find. What's this gray? So it is a little offcut. Okay, so we had balloon offcut. So I'm going to cut that down to 4.5. Already sitting just over 2, so I'm going to cut it down to 2 and then 2 strips of 1. And it actually looks better than the original. How's that? Nice. Way. So ladies, you mustn't stress if you've cut something wrong. Actually, sometimes turns out better than the original. We all make mistakes, I suppose. No, I've got another one. It might be a photo mat. So we're first going to stick the balloons. Actually, let's stick the wood grain first. Just prep the balloons. Wood grain. Okay, wood grain. Currently sitting at 5.5. We can stick them in the middle. 5.5. We can stick the balloons on top. Make sure they're going the right way. And then this photo mat. There we go. So there were a couple of pieces left over. I don't quite know what was going on with those. But you'll find them useful as you decorate your pages. For example, let's see. Maybe having a little grey strip along here just finishes it off, which I think it does. I'm going to add it on just because. Why not? Actually happy with just going from pink to pink, so add a little bit of a different splash. gray. And maybe the balloons were a bit much, so I'll cover more balloon than all stripes. Just really have to force fold it. There we go. There we go. That's no, we were looking for a photo mat. Oh, okay, so the belly band one has been cut. Belly band was D4. There we go. So that one belongs. And then we were looking for this. Let's go from the beginning again. So here's our albums. These pieces are just from the offcuts. I'll cut them quickly with you now as well. So page 1, done. Page 2, done. Page 3, done. 4, good. 5, also good. 6, also. 7, 8, 9, and we're done. So I'm not quite sure where this one was supposed to come from. As you're playing, I'm sure you'll find out where it meant to go. Okay, just for these little squares, because you won't see your titles unless you cut these little squares out. They're from the quote sheet, and they are 2 inches by 2 inches, both of them. So if you go to your quote sheet, you've got these little stupid girl and sassy from birth. It's just those two parts. And placed. Once your chipboard's on, then you can place them the most effective way for you. Right, so that was the girl album. Didn't do anything too fancy on the chipboard. Now, for those who are not familiar with the chipboard, I'll grab a sample again. Very simple way to color chipboard. Just take this tip out of the way. Right, so for best kit ever, make that one quickly. Best kit ever, I used Jumbo Java and Jumbo Java and Pink Petunia. Nice and wet. And take a paintbrush, Fantastics tool, whatever you like to use. Ever. I'm going to use it on the plastic. Didn't work out my space too well. Anytime you need to be cautious is when the colors, the two sections meet. Or sound too much. You color in your chipboard, finish with one color, and then you can move on to the next. Saves hassle, cleaning up the whole time. These are actually nail technician paintbrushes, which I found extremely helpful. Don't know what it is about them, maybe because they're all angled, but definitely found them easier to work with than the normal paintbrushes on fine detail. Right, get cut on it. Remember, the chipboard is fragile, but if it breaks, just sticking it down anyway. Don't panic. I think I need to invest in another jumbo Java. Hopefully one will squish and we'll be okay with that one. When you're doing wording, just concentrate on what you're actually painting. So like here with the dot of the eye for kid, I'm doing kid in a different color, so I need to make sure I don't paint it the brown. I'm going to be painting it pink. Makes it easier to read on your actual project as well. But there's my little dot. But now you know what word it belongs to. And I did a little bit of a hack here. Show you. To me, that pink was a little bit too pink. So I just water my brush, went back to my jumbo Java, and just did a light brush over with jumbo Java just to settle the pink down a little bit. If you like bright pink, that's fine. Don't have to do that. I just wanted to dilute it just slightly and make it a bit more rusticy and dirty. So that was for best kid ever. You see, I wanted to dull it down a bit. On the pink, you can't really see it too well. So the more brown you add, slightly better you'll be able to see it. Then little star was on a different one, but on a different chipboard. But I'll show you how about Big Dream. There was a similar thing. This time I used all-purpose ink and pumpkin spice. All-purpose ink, where's a dream to use? I hardly use craft mats anymore. These plastic packets are so handy. Quick wipe. Don't have to worry about cleaning later. Back on. Okay, let's make Dreams Gold. So this is the all-purpose ink I'm using. Remember, with all-purpose ink, if it's a thicker ink, little ball in it, you need to shake it up before you use it. If there's no ball in it, then you don't have to worry about shaking it up. Some of the dye settles towards the bottom. Dream. And then we'll go with pumpkin spice, one of my new favorites. covered. How close you can get. There we go. So that gives you an idea. So those are the colors I used with that background. So they stand out. Very, very simple, straightforward, and easy. Let me just see if I can run through the acetate with you. The acetate here behind a voice bubble, a speech bubble. Speech bubble was colored with pink petunia. Acetate put behind. Here there's foam tape, different levels of foam tape. So it's very thin foam tape on the flower, then a double thickness of that, and then an extra level there. So there's 3 different levels of foam there. You got your acetate, your circle punches, obviously. Your little tags, fun bits and pieces. See, there's that gold again. Put a little bit of glossy accents on the hearts, but they were just plain white. Wild and free. Here again on the acetate. The acetate, because the writing is white, you need to try and make sure you put it onto something that's fairly plain background and darkish. So like there we go, you can see that again. But now I'll show you further on where we may hit a problem if you wanted to copy the previous one of this particular album. And it's all fun. It's all fun. Yeah, like Little Princess, sorry. On our Little Princess, we had to do things slightly differently. So where's our Little Princess? Okay, we did balloons. So now if you want to do Little Princess, I recommend you cut another piece of darker paper, plainish darker paper. So you can have the acetate put on there and it still stands out. Here's another one, here's a longer one. Probably even be better. So cut a strip so you see balloons on either side, and then you can put your Little Princess on there. Which I don't have the acetate with me right now, so I could show you, but that's the concept. So acetate, if it's white writing, make sure it goes onto a plain or plain-ish background, and obviously the darker the better for it to stand out. Chipboards. Right, here's another acetate with a speech bubble, which it was a very pale background. So you see how you battle to read it on a pale background. In reality, you can see it quite nicely, but unfortunately with the glare, you're not able to pick it up on the camera too well. Okay, see, that's what happens when it's behind on a busy background. You lose a little bit of it. You have to really look. Okay, there's your albums. Let's decorate them. Photos. Yeah, just simple little offcuts that I was talking about. The offcut there with another little piece. That just finishes it off. And then all your fussy cut little pieces. I hope you've enjoyed that. So that was 2 projects with 1 bulk pack and 2 mini albums. So 2 full mini albums from 1 bulk pack, and obviously the mini album blanks. Not bad going. So well done, guys. And I'll see what the next challenge is that Dennis throws at me. But I'm off to Oz soon. So that was my last project until I get back. I'll see you guys when I get back.